Welcome to the Israel Daily News Podcast. I'm your host, Shanna Fold, and I'm here to get you caught up quickly. I've got some top news stories for you today from Israel, and guess what? You're listening, so you're already on top of your game. Survive and thrive, people. Knowledge is the best weapon. Today is Thursday, April 24th, 2025 in the Gregorian calendar and the 26th of Nisan, 5785 in the Hebrew calendar. Today is Yom HaShoah in Israel, and we have a wrap-up of how the day went here in the Holy Land as we honor the 6 million Jews who were murdered during the Holocaust. Not even 100 years ago. Hold on for a Torah thought at the end of the show. But now, let's get to the news. On April 24th, Israel paused for Holocaust Remembrance Day, also known as Yom HaShoah in Hebrew, with a 2-minute siren sounding across the country, halting daily life in memory of the 6 million Jews murdered by the Nazis. This year's solemn commemorations were shadowed by the ongoing hostage crisis in Gaza, where 59 Israeli captives remain in the hands of Hamas terror organization since the October 7th attack that killed 1,200 people and abducted 251. At ceremonies held at Yad Vashem, the Knesset, and Auschwitz in Poland, leaders including President Isaac Herzog and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu drew painful connections between past and present threats to Jewish life. Netanyahu shared personal memories of his father-in-law's family, all murdered in the Holocaust, while Defense Minister Israel Katz likened Hamas to the Nazis, vowing to defeat them and rescue the hostages who remain in captivity. In his first appearance as U.S. ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee spoke about American solidarity with the Jewish people, calling anti-Semitism irrational and baseless. At the March of the Living in Auschwitz, survivors released hostages and victims' families joined thousands in honoring Holocaust victims. Shelley Shem Tov, whose son Omer was recently freed from captivity, tearfully recounted the haunting parallels between Nazi atrocities and the Hamas massacre, urging action to rescue those still underground in Gaza. Now, for some additional news stories from today. Tal Shoham, an Israeli and Austrian citizen, endured 505 days as a Hamas hostage in Gaza, facing abuse, starvation, and near constant fear of death. More of his story was released today in English. Captured with his family during the October 7th, 2023 Hamas attack on Kibbutz Be'eri, Shoham was separated from his wife and children, who were released a month later while he remained in captivity between apartments and tunnels throughout the Gaza Strip. Shoham recounted beatings, threats, and being confined underground where he lost 60 pounds and suffered a severe leg infection. He says that he bonded with fellow hostages through whispered conversations and shared survival strategies, including providing massages to captors in exchange for food. Despite the trauma, Shoham credits mindfulness techniques and the knowledge that he eventually got that his family had survived as the reasons for helping him survive and endure himself. Prime Minister Netanyahu spoke with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Thursday, sharing his condolences and the condolences of the Israeli people to the Indian people over the heinous Islamist terror attack in Kashmir that happened on Tuesday, killing 26 people. All were Indian except for one. Prime Minister Modi thanked him for sharing in India's mourning and emphasized that the two countries stand shoulder to shoulder in the global campaign against murderous terrorism. The two leaders also discussed advancing the transportation and communication corridor that is set to link Asia via Saudi Arabia and Israel to Europe. Tensions between India and Pakistan are now surging following the deadly attack on the Indian-controlled Kashmir. India is blaming Pakistan for supporting militant groups, suspended a key water treaty, and downgraded diplomatic ties, while Pakistan retaliated by closing its airspace to Indian carriers, halting trade, and demanding a reduction in India's diplomatic staff. The Indus Waters Treaty, long a stabilizing factor between these two countries, is now hanging in jeopardy as Pakistan warns that any attempt to block the water flow would be seen as an act of war. Both nations are still on high alert, with fears escalating that this standoff could surpass the intensity of the 2019 Pulwama crisis, in which near full-scale conflict broke out those years back. Pakistani officials continue to deny involvement in the recent attack, while some analysts caution that the absence of diplomatic channels makes miscalculations even more likely. I want to thank all of you for your interest in Israeli affairs, Israeli politics, our world politics. I also want to thank all of you who personally finance and fund the Israel Daily News with monthly contributions. You can support us by going over to our new website, israeldailynews.org, and clicking on Donate. The Patreon link is over there, and you can send us a monthly donation using that link. There's also an option for a one-time donation as well. Our organization is operational thanks to listeners and supporters like you. Thank you to Marianne Vollinger for her monthly support. In response for your contributions, I'll send over a handwritten thank you note to show my appreciation. Follow us on social media at israeldaily.news. We're on X, we're on YouTube, TikTok, growing every day, and Instagram. Our page has about 14,500 followers, and you can follow my personal page at Shanna Fold. My name has 2 N's in it, and I'm very sensitive about that. Israeli settlers reportedly stormed the Palestinian village of Bardala in the northern West Bank, or Judea and Samaria, depending on how you call this region. They reportedly set fires and injured 2 residents with gunfire in the latest wave of violent attacks. The incident, which occurred overnight, saw settlers from a nearby illegal outpost assault villagers and torch buildings, while Israeli troops eventually arrived and opened fire to disperse both settlers and Palestinians who were defending their homes. No arrests were made, and Israeli authorities have not commented, despite mounting criticism over the handling of settler violence in general. Following up on an issue from earlier this week, Israeli officials have confirmed that Barak Tzach, a father of 4 from Petah Tikva, died in a rare shark attack near Hadera Beach. Tzach, an experienced swimmer, was snorkeling and filming sharks when they got too close. His wife, Sarit, says he tried to gently push them away with a GoPro stick as he swam back to shore. The attack happened in a no-swim zone, and rescue teams, including divers, helicopters, and jet skis, quickly searched for him. The beach has since closed, with calls growing for stricter safety rules in shark-prone waters. This tragic event sparked public debate and mourning for Tzach, who also served in the IDF reserves. We here at the Israel Daily News send our heartfelt condolences to the family, friends, and community. And I can tell you this, I woke up yesterday morning at 6:30 in the morning, and this was on my chest. I sat straight up out of bed. Something about this attack and the fact that his remains were found after this shark nearly ate him, I really felt this attack in my body, and I'm wondering if you all are feeling the same. You can reach out to me and let me know. Wildfires broke out across central Israel on Wednesday near Beit Shemesh and spread quickly due to extreme heat and strong winds, threatening homes and fields, and by the way, stopping a lot of people from going and coming to their destinations. More than 100 firefighting teams, planes, and helicopters worked to control the flames. 9 people, including 7 firefighters, suffered light injuries. Experts warned that rising temperatures from climate change are making these fires more frequent and more severe. And now for a Torah thought by Rabbi Yossi Madvig of Oswego, New York.
This week's Torah portion is Shemini, which means the 8th. And when you think about it, it really should have been at the end of last week's Torah portion, because the last week talks about the 7 days of inauguration of the Mishkan, the tabernacle, the desert temple that the Jews traveled with. And now we begin on the 8th day of the inauguration, when the divine presence finally descends into the tabernacle. So by beginning a brand new Parsha, sort of in the middle of the story, the Torah is hinting to us that this 8th day, while it is a continuation of the 7 days that preceded it, actually has a completely different character. So it has to begin a brand new chapter. Since there are 7 days in a week, it follows that the number 7 alludes to the natural world. 8, on the other hand, goes beyond 7, beyond the natural world, to a sublime spiritual realm, which has no interaction with physicality, because it's truly infinite. So it can't have any meaningful relationship with the finite. And it's this fundamental incompatibility between the 7 and the 8 to which the Torah is alerting to in Shemini by putting it in its own parsha. The Torah is teaching that 8, which is infinite and godly, and 7, which is worldly and physical, cannot be joined, cannot be mixed. Meaning they can't be mixed by our actions alone. Only through God and his commandments, which is not bound by the paradox of physicality and spirituality, can we do this. So when we accomplish God's commandments and perform a particular task with a physical object, we are witnessing the fusion of opposites. You have the physical object whose nature is to conceal godliness, and the pure expression of infinite divine will. So we can view the 613 mitzvot as bridges between the finite and the infinite, between the 7 and the 8th. And so it's through doing the mitzvahs that God has commanded us that God's presence will become visible within this physical world with the true and complete redemption. Like it says of the 8th day of the inauguration, when the glory of God appeared to all the people. Shabbat Shalom.
All right. Well, that is it for today's show. Today is Thursday, April 24th, 2025. Tel Aviv has a low of 19 degrees Celsius and a high of 22 degrees. That's 67 degrees Fahrenheit for the low, going up to 72 degrees for the high. We are everywhere. Don't forget to sign up to our Israel Weekly News Wrap. The Israel Weekly News Wrap is a newsletter with the top 5 stories coming out of Israel from throughout the week, and of course with a personal note from me at the top. You can sign up for that at IsraelDailyNews.org. I'll send you off now with a song called Eli Eli, sung in Hebrew by Nicole Raviv and in English by Ada Pasternak, with a violin solo by Pasternak herself, piano by Itamar Gov-Ari. The song that I'm about to play, Eli Eli, translates to My God, and is a poem in Hebrew written in 1942 by Hungarian Jewish World War II resistance fighter Hannah Senesh, which Israeli composer David Zahavi set to music in 1945. Senej wrote the poem while residing in kibbutz Sdot Yam, which is located a short distance along the Mediterranean coast away from the ancient port town of Caesarea. The song is considered one of Israel's unofficial anthems and is the most commonly played song on Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day here in Israel. I recited one of Hannah Senesh's poems last night at the commemoration ceremony in the Tel Aviv Museum of Art. After I recited her poem, which is called To Seek a Human, I then invited a Holocaust survivor to the stage. We had just about 1,000 English speakers in the house for this momentous occasion, which was followed by the screening of a film that the survivor produced herself. She's in her late 80s. It was really wonderful to have her with us. Her story was incredible, and I shared a little bit about it on my personal Instagram, where you can see photos from the Am Yisrael Foundation event. This is all part of the community work that I do. I hope this song is meaningful to you. Have a great weekend. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shama I pray that these things never end. The